happening a lot right now.
Right? Exactly. It
Saying
is.
it loud, I don't even know if I should, but I'm going to say it anyways. So
You
when
know, his food is important to me.
they
And just
don't feel that they're financially independent, what's up, everyone? It's me, Mona Arora, Strata Queens. Welcome to my very first episode of Strata and Beyond. Real people, real stories. Now, as you know that I do a lot of pre-sales, and one question I get asked all the time, or one thing I see all the time happening, is people getting into pre-sale and at the very last minute running around to secure their mortgages. Now, we all know that there are ways that where you can secure the mortgages early on and sometimes even lock in the rates at the better price. But here's the question. Education is the key to make those decisions. So today in my studio, I have RBC Bank that's going to be talking and walking us through the program that how do you secure your mortgages 2 years or 3 years in advance? What are those mortgages called? And most importantly, what are the qualifications and what kind of a documentation you need? So let's get started. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for this house full. Like, look at all these women sitting here. This is so good.
Thanks, Mona.
Like, should we
Thanks.
really talk about
Thanks for having
finances or we
us.
should just talk
Yes.
about women empowerment? So I really, this is one topic that comes all the time because I personally have been in situation. I remember my last transaction where I had been telling my clients for past like a year before it was closing, get your mortgage straight, get your mortgage straight. And even last 1 week of closing, we were running around. But I knew that there was possibilities to secure them early on. So I would love to you guys to touch upon what kind of a mortgages are, first of all, available for securing those early on.
See, I can take on that question. Is the best for us why early mortgages is because that means we get it appraised at the same time when you bought it. Like a lot of times this happened now was that people bought it in 2022 when the market was at the peak, and now they're coming for closing and the appraisals are not coming in. If we had them approved, like at RBC, we give you firm approvals. We're not going to redo an appraisal, so you know for sure the price you bought in, you locked it in.
Oh my God, I have a goosebump and I have to ask this question and any one of you can answer it. And I'm already getting a goosebump on this question because those that are going to be listening, they'll be like, oh my God, I wish we had done it. So let's assume, especially knowing that the interest rates, especially last year, they're getting corrected now, but in the last year, they were high. So people that had bought pre-sales 2 years ago and had they had this information and locked in and secured their mortgages, do you think they would have had a choice to lock in their interest rates as well?
Yes, we do have some kind of interest rates which we can give them. They might be higher at that time because we're giving you a 3-year or a 2-year rate, but would have been way better than now.
Well, I'm going to jump in
yeah.
and give you an example.
Yeah.
So obviously rates are high now, but when rates were lower, say the COVID time, everyone remembers that, 1.5, 2, I had a client who bought a pre-sale. And I first of all, thanks for bringing this topic. It's close to my heart because people don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, you know what, let's lock it. And we had, obviously because the closing was far away, so there's a premium added to the rate because we're holding it
Right.
longer than usual. So the rate was 3 point something. And he said, I'm not going to take this rate. I was like, that's fine, just lock it and leave it. If the rate goes down, that's great. And when he actually came for completion, the rate was beyond 5%. And he was like, I want that 3%. So I was like, see what you got. Because you don't know what's going to happen. So it's a no-brainer. So our product is amazing. I think RBC is one of the banks which does projects up to 5 years. People don't believe this. They feel that, I don't need a mortgage right now. I probably need a mortgage when I'm going to close it. Or I won't even close it. I'll flip it. But you're exposing yourself to the risk of not being able to complete it. So it's a no-brainer that you get the approval now. Rates are one thing. Approval is key. So as she mentioned, the appraisal can change. Your income situation can also change. I'm sure you've come across some too. If you lose your job, if your income goes down, we still have to honor it. If you go buy a Mercedes
so that
and
brings
take
me
a
to
new
other
debt.
question. Exactly. Let's talk about documentation. I mean, thankfully, thank you for talking about that, how they can lock it and all the benefits. But documentation, what kind of a documentation is needed at the time when they're locking in? However, let's say their situation changes when they're actually ready to complete. What do you need at that point?
Well, the documentation is depending on each client's situation. So if they're self-employed, it's generally their T1 generals, notice of assessments, their business financials. And for people that are employed by a company, their T4s, pay stubs, and so forth. So usually with RBC, the best thing with RBC is the fact that Kanchan and Sonia's already touched on, is that we'll give you the firm approval. So we won't take that away. So basically, when we've pulled their credit and we've already approved them, we don't have to re-pull their credit. They don't have to give us income back again, even though the situation has changed. So once we've given you the firm approval, like Kanchan said, we don't give that back. So the documentation is usually that's what is required, a 90-day bank statement of the down payment, which is very important as well.
And how many months or years that they can lock in? Because now, as we see the trend, some projects do get completed in 2 years. Some actually, because we also know the cost of construction has gone up and some projects are being delayed. Funny enough, some projects are actually getting done early. I've seen that in a market where the interest rates, as soon as they found out the interest rates were going to change or something was going to happen, my clients were like, it's getting done early, and of course based on the contract. So when it comes to the locking those rates, how far they can lock it? Is it 2 years, 3 years? What is the implications? And you said something about 5 years too.
Yeah, we have projects which can go up to 5 years. Typically 3 to, I think,
Like
2 to
high
4
rise,
years.
I do a lot of pre-sales, so high rise usually are 4 years.
Yeah.
So talk about that. Like, how does that criteria work then?
Yeah, so we do have builder programs on most of our sites. You will find RBC is one of the preferred financial institutions that are doing it. So even if we have it, say, for 4 years or something, and it needs an extension, then we do get an extension for that project. And once it's locked in, it's not that we're telling you take that rate, but close to when it's completion time, we can give you an option of the rate we were holding or the present rate, whichever's lower.
Right.
So the client is positive all the time. I don't even understand what they have to think about this one, but they
guess
should
I think
just
it's
don't
the.
know.
I
They
was
don't
gonna
know.
say I don't think it's
People don't
anybody
know
would love
about
to
it.
take the benefit. I think it's a lack of education and
Absolutely.
information, and also sometimes who you're dealing with makes
Yeah.
a
Right.
huge
It makes a huge
difference.
difference.
For example, myself, I can speak for myself. I am invested in my business, so I'll do everything I can to learn this. So I think it also comes down to the person, how knowledgeable the person who's presenting the file to the clients. Are they knowledgeable?
I was just going to say that a lot of realtors we come across don't have interest in that. They're like, the client will figure it out. But someone like you who wants to know and wants to bring the best to the client is really important, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are I think you touched upon it a little bit, but I don't know if I may need to touch upon it more deeper. Is there any risks involved in securing those interest rates or securing the mortgage way in advance for the pre-sale especially?
No, there's no risk.
Okay.
There is no downside to it. There's only an upside.
Like
That's
I say, it's a
right.
no-brainer.
It's
It's
a
a
firm
no-brainer.
approval. It's appraisal done. Approval's firm. We don't check your income again. We don't pull your credit again. God forbid something happens in the middle, and they get even life and disability insurance, which they're not paying for those 3-4 years. God forbid something happens while you had held that pre-sale. It's paid for without a
It has
cost to
happened
you.
with clients. We have
Yes.
A lot of-
situations
yes.
where, yeah.
Okay, I would
It's
have to
very
be very
sad.
honest.
Yeah.
That's a news to me too.
Okay.
I didn't know myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like
it's no
I
cost
feel that
to you.
I'm very knowledgeable when
Yeah.
that's why we're talking about this, but I did not know.
No
so
cost to
now
you.
it makes more and more sense.
Yeah.
It's no brainer.
RBC is the way to go.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I know we dived right. I think we are so passionate about this that we didn't even talk about who we are,
Yes,
what we
yes,
do,
yes,
why we
yes.
do. And of course, we'll get into that later on in the segment. But please, let's talk about who are you?
We are
How
four
long you been doing
strong,
this for?
4 strong women sitting in one room.
Right?
Okay, you want to go, Suki, first?
My name is Suki Kuna, and I'm from Surrey, BC. And I've been with Royal Bank for almost 23 years. And I've done various roles. And my mortgage specialist role now I've been doing for almost 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we will dive more deep into why you do what you do, but please.
Kanchan?
Kanchan Makhija, mortgage specialist with RBC. Been in the banking business for 2 decades. Mortgages, I would say about 6 years. Mom to a daughter of 10-year-old, and I love what I do. I just love people. That's why I'm here, I guess.
Okay, I'm Sonia. I've been with RBC for 20 years. Have done quite a few roles, and business banking also, a lot of commercial lending. So I have a lot of knowledge which I bring together for the business owners also. And I've been doing mortgages for over 5 years now. And I love getting people in their homes. Just that
And
is the best feeling.
So, do you have kids too?
Yes, 2 kids, 31 and 20.
Well, the
30.
reason I had to ask that
35
question,
and 30. Oh my
because
God.
one thing I'm seeing in common, like I have a 25-year-old, so one thing I'm seeing in common that here we are businesswomen and the mompreneurs.
Yes.
For sure.
Wearing so many hats at the
Yes.
same time. Now, we talked about pre-sales and we talked about locking in the rates, but let's talk about a little bit about refinancing too. And that really brings it because of the with all the market shifts that we're going through. So how are you finding personally, not as a bank, but personally, which business you think you guys doing the most, the percentage wise? Is it because I see buildings going everywhere right now? So is it the pre-sales, is it the refinancing, or is it the new business?
For me, I would say it's a split. I do a lot of switches also from other FIs because people want to refinance. Either somebody's downsizing or upsizing. Somebody wants to take money out to give money to the children because nobody can afford to buy a home without the mom-dad bank of the down payment coming in. So we refinance a lot.
Oh my God,
to
that
give.
brings me to a very, very important topic. But
Okay.
I'm going to let you guys talk on
Yeah.
this topic first. Remind me, that's a very important question.
Yeah, it's a split, I think, same way too. It just depends, but we do a lot of purchases, pre-sales and refinances too. So I would say equally divided, yeah.
I think I've had the same as well, a good split, pre-sales and new purchases. Clients are just wanting to get into the market, get onto the property ladder, and they just want to get pre-approval now. And I think clients are just that much smarter now. They know that they want to get their firm approval in place because it's just risky of the market
Yeah.
and what the economy has brought to.
And I
here,
find
right?
that
So
if they don't have these approvals, realtors also don't want to look at them. That's the first
That's
question they
true
ask. Do
too.
you have an approval from the bank? We're not going to waste our time writing offers and going around if you can't even afford to buy the place.
And I think it's more than just as like I can speak for myself as a realtor. The reason I asked that question is because I'm not going to be around tying up the properties for other people because
That's
I
right.
have seen that happen in the market too, especially as a listing agent.
Yes.
And it breaks my heart for my clients because the agent will come and say, no, everything is good, everything is good. We'll put the offer, lock the property in, and whether it's a slow market, correcting market, or a busy market, it does not matter. Don't think it's just the right thing to do. Know your clients very well, what their affordability is, and then you tie up the properties because there might be some serious buyers out there for the same property.
Absolutely.
So very important question because I don't think it's really been talked much, but it needs to be talked, and especially people that are making moves, unplanned moves sometimes. Can we talk about porting your mortgages?
Yes.
Happening a lot right now.
Right? And exactly. It is happening a lot, but I don't think so anybody understands because I was talking to my client and I use the word because I'm in this industry. So for me, porting the mortgage is a very common term, right? But they were like, what do you mean? So I had to explain them. And I'm like, listen, you need to talk to the mortgage broker or mortgage person because I'm not an expert, but I know what it means and I can explain a bit. But we need to talk about it that there are those options available too. So what are those?
So you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so when you're moving properties, let's say you're selling a property and buying another one, you have a mortgage on it. Let's say you have a fixed term for 3 or 4 years. Now, if you break it earlier than that, obviously there's a penalty. And sometimes the rates on those mortgages are really nice, which you had, 1.5%, 2%.
Right.
You don't want to lose that. Supporting, just by the way the word says, we can transfer the mortgage as is to the new property.
So there's a limitation of time that's been given that they have to put it in certain time frame.
yeah, that's 90 days.
What about
usually.
the qualification?
They do have to re-qualify for it, and we can add more money. Let's say they're upgrading and buying more. We can definitely add more money to it. But the good thing is that you don't pay the penalty of breaking it, and you can carry forward the rate. If it's favorable, you can just move it. Most people, again, do not know about it, and the bankers sometimes don't educate people. So they end up breaking their mortgage, paying the penalty, and then realizing, oh, this was an option. So I'm talking to all my clients who took mortgages during the COVID time. I'm saying, okay, if you're planning to move, remember, you can port your mortgage. Just don't go blindly and buy something and forget about this portion because you have a great rate, and you can actually move it as is.
So that brings me to another question, and I'm saying it loud. I don't even know if I should, but I'm going to say it anyways. So when you say that some bankers or maybe some people not explaining porting the mortgage and what are the options, could it be because is it considered first of all as a new mortgage or is it considered just a porting mortgage? Like
Porting.
Okay.
I know what you're asking.
Right? So it's like maybe the education lacks there is because it's better off to let them have the penalty and get the new mortgage because that's like two deals then, right?
That's true.
Technically.
That is.
Unfortunately.
It's
I mean-
unfortunate, but it's true. That's the reason
But
why
that's
you
where
need
people or
to.
consumer needs to be educated
Consumer
that when
needs
they
to-
walk into the bank, they ask this question, I need to know about porting the mortgage and what are my expenses if I do it, because that might be the right option than breaking the mortgage.
Yeah. See, that's one thing where take a little bit of pride in RBC. We are quite upfront about these things and tell them. We will tell them exactly, does it make sense to break or not break? This is the penalty, not the penalty. Port. We can even blend your rates and give you, if you're taking a higher amount. So we have to blend the two and give you a rate. So every option is given to them right up front.
Yeah.
I mean, you're building a long-term relationship with the client. If you do that now, they're never going to come back to you.
Life is not
That's
one
right.
relationship.
And
You
mostly
hate
when
to-
clients buy condos or townhomes, I know that next 2-3 years they probably are going to upgrade. So I tell them upfront that remember, whenever you do this, this is portable. Like just keep that behind your mind. I know you're not
Yeah.
worried about it right now, but just keep that somewhere in the back of your head that this can be moved when you're ready to
Right.
move. So yeah, like she said, we take pride with the culture that we always have to do the right thing first.
It's building relationships with your clients, right? So down the road, their children will have mortgages or their family and friends. So having that rapport with your clients and being upfront and letting them know and educating them that this is what it is.
And I think that's what it is that if we're in business this long, I mean, I know I've been in this business for almost, I just found out yesterday we were calculating the years. I keep saying, I'm in this business for 18 plus years. And then I was like, wait a second, I started and it's been 20 plus years.
Wow.
So,
Time
but
flies.
however you go that far with your business is because, again, it's a relationship, right? So
It's all on referrals, clients, your friends, family, and getting them into their right homes and making them comfortable. Because like a lot of people say, how much will I qualify? How much? I don't go on that. I go on, how much are you comfortable paying?
Oh my God,
Let's
you
not get
speak
into
my
that.
favorite dialogue. So I have people come to me all the
Yeah.
time. I actually have a video on it too, is that only buy what you
Absolutely.
need. Like you cannot sabotage your lifestyle because then there's going to be a day in your life where you'll be like, oh my God, all I do mortgage payments. Well, did you really needed that third room?
Yeah. Then
You know what I mean?
lot of times people
exactly.
just
Or I
overbuy.
say to the people that they will keep saving for a house, keep saving for a house. I'm like, first step is to get a condo.
Absolutely.
And then we'll work way up to the townhouse. Then we'll work our way up
Absolutely.
to the house. It'll come, but just let's take a first step.
At least stop paying somebody else's mortgage.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Right? The other question, of course, is the young generation. So if we were to talk about young generation, like the myth out there is, and to some extent it could be true, is that mostly we get to hear is that, oh my God, I don't think so. I'm never ever gonna be able to afford the house. Now, one thing I have done with my clients is when they get on the journey of saving for their house, I right away get them in touch with the mortgage broker or with some kind of a bank or something, because I feel, and I want you guys to elaborate more on it because I don't know the steps, but I just know that this is where I want to get them to go, is that when you're ready or you're planning to purchase a home, I'm sure there is something that they can do 6, 7, 8 months in advance to build towards it so they know that they can qualify. So can you talk about a little bit on that? Like sometimes it's about, could be a scoring that needs to be fixed. There could be sometimes the amount of deposit, the down payment that they need. There could be the job letters, or there could be how much of the stability they need in their jobs and whatnot. So can you touch upon that?
I can take that one too. I personally had a client, a young couple came into my office about a while ago, and they wanted to get a pre-approval done. And they came in all excited to get this pre-approval done. And they were quite young. They were probably like 23, 24. And I started talking to them about the importance of what the cost is going to be. So they just had a feeling that it was just going to be the mortgage payment. And I was like, no, there's other factors as well, right? So I tried to explain them that, there's going to be property taxes, there's a strata fee, the down payment. If your family's going to help, which is great, but you can also, take a look at what your credit score is, because that's, I think, very important for the young generation. They don't understand what credit really means. And I wish they would do this in schools, to be honest, especially grade 12. I think it's very important for them to know how to start to build a credit, to, get their first credit card at, the age of 19. So, and start saving tax-free savings accounts and so forth, or RSPs. And that will help them also to kind of like be accountable of what their savings, what they need to save for, and how much. But they were so... they were kind of disappointed. I felt really bad as well, but at the same time, I did educate them, and they were so grateful. And actually, 5 years later, they came back to me for a mortgage.
Oh.
So they saved their own money, and they took my advice. And I think it's very important. Credit is one of the biggest things, to be honest. They don't realize when they do get credit cards that they should have their minimum payment taken from their bank account, so they'll never be late on their credit card. That's really important. And that's one of the things that come up to us is late payments. So that's, I think, a very key aspect of letting these young generation, so they know and understand what it is.
Yeah, I remember when, because of course, my son lives with a realtor, right? So my son was like, when he was getting into that age where you can get the credit card, that's the first thing he wanted. He's like, I need to get my credit card, and I need to make sure there's some bills going out of my credit card. Because he understands how to build your credit card,
right.
like how to build your credit history and whatnot, right? So I 100% agree. But I think that's education somewhat has to come from home. They don't know as they're growing up. And as you said, it can start as early as grade 12. For my son, to be very, very honest, it started as early as when he was 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we need to start talking about finances, which brings me to the next topic. And that topic always makes me emotional, but we're going to talk about it. So working in the banking industry, how many times you run into a situation where woman has no clue what's happening with their finances?
A lot of times.
A lot.
That's okay. We can be loud about it.
It is sad. We are all women, but that's the only one thing that I want to work on the side is to educate women and empower them, because it's really sad when something suddenly, like we've all had clients. We all have seen situations where women didn't even know, or the credit card also was in their husband's name. So suddenly some tragedy happens in the house, husband passed away, nothing. They don't even have a credit card to their name. They don't know what to do. They have no idea about the finances, nothing. Yes, we won't take away a mortgage which is approved. It'll still continue, but they can't get anything else. And they don't even have any knowledge. They don't even know that they had line of credits which were used. Zero knowledge.
And I think
It's too sad.
the reason I want to talk about this is I'm coming from my own, to be very honest, with my own personal experience, because being a businesswoman, being a very independent woman, I really never paid attention to my finances. Of course, I was equally responsible to make sure the mortgage payments I was part of. I was equally responsible to make sure the bills were being paid. So I'm contributing in the family, but I had no clue, when is my mortgage payment going? Which account is it going from? How much is my mortgage payment? I know I'm contributing, or even like where the bills are coming from. And again, is something I had taken on myself. It's like, wait a second, it's something I need to take the charge of, not other person. So I was wanting to get that the titles, the mortgage, when we are writing the contracts, we talk about who's going on the mortgage. So when you guys doing a refinancing or whatnot, like how much these women are educated, and what kind of education do you think they should have?
They're really not, because a lot of times they're actually guarantors on the mortgage. They're not even on the title of the property, which is just horrible. But I do always bring it up. I don't know if you guys have brought it up, but if I see a woman and she's signing as a guarantor, I'll tell them, please get independent legal advice, because you're not even on the title. You're signing for this $1 million debt on your name, but you don't even own that property. So think about what you're doing. So I have seen this situation where the women are shocked that they're not even on title of the properties.
It's funny. I think as a realtor, when you go out showing couples' homes, I think women have a lot of say. Like, I want a spice kitchen, I want a walk-in closet. When it comes to mortgage, I think 9 out of 10 times I'm only talking to the man of the family. Yes, I talk to the women and maybe I'm pulling a credit and stuff, but there's no discussion that she's not in their discussion at all, which tells you that they are not actively participating in the financing part. So that's why they don't know much. When, like you said, it starts at home. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I speak to her about money. Some of my friends think, oh, it's too early. I said, no. So first thing I want to teach her is, you can find a life partner, you can do whatever you want. First thing, be financially independent and continue to take control of that. Because that awareness has to come very quickly. Otherwise, it can turn into a messy situation a lot of time. Like she said, we see a lot of clients. Sometimes the husband passes away or there's a separation and they don't know anything. They're like, oh, this is my tax returns? I don't know what went on. I'm like, you signed for it, but they just have a blind trust, which is fair. But I guess it's our responsibility to take that ownership.
And the reason I'm stepping into when you say the blind trust, I think it's not only just the trust, it's just taking charge of your life, because I had a blind trust and I burned my hands with whatever situation that I went through. But I think it's just being involved, equally involved. Like I got involved. And as a woman, most of us as a motherhood, we get involved in the games, picking them up, dropping them off, packing their lunches.
That is too much.
That's too much to handle. And then we're like, okay, we're not going to worry about the finances. And but little do we know that end of the day, when things happen in our life, that's the only thing that we can count is the finances. And if you don't even know what's happening in your finances, you're half lost.
Maybe we need to split that portion also half.
Yeah.
Making dinners, dropping and picking up, and then looking after the finances.
Needs to be
also.
reassessed. That's right.
There's a lot of work to be done there.
It is. We do get a lot of clients like that. I understand that too. And you know what? I sit down with my clients as well, and I do explain to them as well what the importance is. And I also tell them it's really important to get a will.
Yes.
Because that way they need
just
to be protected. I've had my own personal situation like that. So I always tell them, make sure you get a will, and and the importance of why you should have the will in place for the husband and wife, so they understand. God forbid something happened to you right now. You could be the truck driver right now. You're the breadwinner at this time, but this is the importance of what needs to be in place as well. So the moms kind of say, we take care of the household and the children, and the husband goes out and he takes care of the finances. When the women are able to work too, but sometimes they choose not to work, or they're, in a situation where they don't need to work. But I think that, being like, you got to be financially independent and make these women realize that, why. And God forbid these situations can arise. One spouse can pass away. You don't want to be, stuck in a situation where, you don't know where to turn to, what to do.
It's funny she says financially independent. So I believe in IAMs. I'm all about my IAMs in the morning, right? So I have it on the plaque on actually in my house. It's on the wall. And the first thing on it says, other than I'm trusting, I'm this, but the big letter is, I'm financially independent. And it's not that there's any wrong being dependent on someone when you are sharing the relationship or in a partnership. It's totally okay. But it's just having that empowerment for ourselves that if the situation comes, I can handle this. Because unfortunately, we've seen some abuses where people, like the woman, will go through those abuses because they don't feel that they're financially independent. And yet, funny enough, they're the main bread earner of the family, but yet they feel that they're not independent.
And talking about wills, it's not just wills. A lot of people don't know that wills only come into play when the person passes away.
True.
But if there's an accident and there's a long-term injury, you need to have power of attorneys, and which 90% of us don't have it. So even an account, nobody can access an account or buy you a shoe if you're not well without the power of attorney.
True.
So it's really important.
So, which brings me, all three of you, including myself, but all three of you are in a financial industry. What brought you into this business? Why this?
Oh boy, okay.
It's been so long.
Looking at me. It's been so long. I know I can't even remember way back. But I just I started off as a teller, and I don't know why I chose the financial industry, to be honest. I just applied and I got in. And anyways, I worked my way up. I was an associate to a mortgage specialist. And once I started working with one of the top mortgage specialists, more and more I realized that how important financing is, and being aware of what it means to own a home, and what the smiles bring on the clients' faces when they get their first mortgage. That's so fulfilling to just kind of know that they're buying the biggest purchase in their lifetime, as a home. So the more and more I kind of was working with my mortgage specialist, I realized that I just love this. I want to do more of it. And then unfortunately, the mortgage specialist moved on, and I got the opportunity to be a mortgage specialist, and I took it head on. And it was a very challenging time at that time for me as well. But I just love helping people and making their dreams come true, because it is one of the biggest purchases in their lifetime.
Definitely. That's where your all hard-earned money mostly goes, right?
Yeah.
What about you two?
I don't know. It's like same like her. So I did my MBA in finance. I guess that's how I just entered the finance industry. Started as a teller years ago back home in India. So done different roles, management, leadership, business banking. But I just love people. I just find that I just want to do something where I'm engaging with people. And then, I came across the mortgage specialist role, and she had turned into that before me. So I was like, Sonia, what do you think about this? She said, it's great. You get the flexibility. You can drive your business the way you want it. So you're an entrepreneur within the organization, which I love.
Yeah.
I love the way you present your business. You're trying to see how you want to present your brand. So you can do all of that within the bank and help people get in their homes. Obviously, it's one of the biggest financial decisions. So I guess for me, it's just the people. I just love people. So anything there's people, I will go there.
You'll go there.
Yeah, I guess.
Very similar story to both of them. Started as a teller, actually came in as an immigrant here. First job was the bank. I'd never worked in a bank. I'd never even written a check from my own hand. So I started, but didn't realize how much I was enjoying credit, how much I was enjoying making solutions for people. So it's never about me, a product. So that's where I think where my success lies is it's not a product. You're just matching the needs to the people, and that's where it is. And
My real estate story was I actually got burnt. So I was insurance broker before. I worked in a retail management for some time. However, I had my own branch for our ESPs. So I promised myself, no matter what I'm doing in my life, when my son turns 5, I'm going to work for myself. I promised myself. I didn't know what I was going to do, but that was my promise, because I lost my mom at a very early age. So I was like, I want to be there to pick him up from school. That's all I wanted to do. So, of course, I went into our ESP business. However, long story short, so I had bought my first house where it was a nightmare. One thing I was clear on, my son has to be born in my house. So I was pregnant. I was in my 7th month. When I bought the house through a real estate agent, the house was full of garbage and everything. And here I'm 7 months pregnant, cleaning the house. It was too much was going on. And I told the real estate agent something needs to happen. Nothing happened. So I was like, okay, whatever. But look at my guts. I hired the same agent to sell my house again and help me to find another one. Back in those days, there was a thing called LUC lots, which is the land use lots, where you can build a bigger house on them. So I literally bought that place only because it was an LUC lot, and I thought it would give me a good returns when I want to sell it. So we sold the house, we moved in, and it was an LUC lot. But when it came to time to sell it, I found out that there was an easement on the house.
Oh.
Now, I'm not a real estate agent. I don't know what I'm looking for. I had no clue. So he said, oh, now we have to sell it for this much. It won't go for this much. I'm like, but it's an LUC lot, right? I'm excited. And he's like, yeah, but there's an easement on it, which means you can only build up to this much. I'm like, wait a second. How come I did not know about this when I bought it? I could have taken action, but that day I promised myself, I'm going to switch gears, leave my insurance business, get into real estate, and I would never let that happen to anyone else ever again.
anybody.
So
that you
now
can
for
look up.
me, my biggest thing in my business is disclosures. I always tell my my clients or even the agents that I coach or train or mentor, make sure everything is on the table. Let there be their decision. But you need to put all the cards on the table so they know that there's no hidden. That's why I talk, like you probably see my videos, Strata. That's all I talk about.
Yeah.
Know the Strata, know the paperwork.
I have never seen so much knowledge being given as I've been seeing in your videos lately. Strata, because
love
that's where
detective
people,
work.
because people really get stuck with the bad strata.
So have you guys ever been in a situation where because of the strata, you had to turn the file down.
Yes, we've
What
had
could
to.
be what could be the reasons? Some of the reasons.
Some could be that there was some work which was there's some leakages, or there's some the leaky condos, those came up a lot, and or
Some litigation.
there's some
Litigation.
litigation.
Thank you
Yes,
for saying that.
there's some litigation going on, and it's not being disclosed, or even the deficiency fund is not there. Like they're going to come up with a huge
Levy, yeah.
levy.
When the times there were subject-free offers going on
Ah.
and strata paperwork was not
boy.
in red, I
Yeah.
actually had a client reach out to me and wanted me to sell the unit that he had bought from another agent. And the unfortunate part was strata paperwork was now even red. And in the latest minute, leaky condo was talked about everywhere. And as soon as client took over, they had $80,000 of special levy.
It just kills me.
It's
how
it really like
It
your
makes
heart
my
is
heart-
like
yeah.
sinking. It's like, oh my god.
I had a client who put an offer on a condo. Thankfully, it didn't go through. I mean, we didn't do it, but obviously the realtor sold it to her. She said very nice everything, and the client actually sat and went through all the strata documents. Clients are not experts. Sometimes we also don't look at it. You guys are obviously the professional.
Right.
And she found stuff, and then she went back to the realtor saying this doesn't look good. So she said, you know what, we're not going to do this. I was like, did your realtor point this out to you? Like, this is not your job. Ideally, should not be your job because you're not the expert. But sometimes people don't take time.
Oh
to,
no, I'm
you
making
know.
on a video that sit down with your agent and go through the paperwork
Yeah.
yourself,
That's
because
good.
end of the
Good.
day, it's your investment.
Yeah,
It's your investment.
absolutely.
But let's go back to that again, same topic, because I want to take the bank's perspective on it, on the strata paperwork. So again, you said leaky condos could be one, the litigations could be one. What other reasons that where the bank can back out from the strata mortgages?
That's usually the main,
Okay.
I would say, or just the strata fees. Like they can change in just the building
Insurance,
itself.
a lot of stratas
Oh,
have
that's
an insurance
correct.
thing.
Yes,
These days they're not
insurance.
getting insured, so we
Yes.
have to make sure that
Yeah.
the insurances are there.
Right. And is it true? I know that I checked for it, but for mortgage purposes, so let's say when you look at the insurance documentation, because insurance every year it has to be renewed.
Absolutely.
So when you guys are going through the documentation, if there's only 10 days left and the new one is not in place, does the bank question it? Because I look for at least minimum 30 days.
Oh, yeah,
Technically, they're supposed to have 30
100%,
days.
100%. We're going to look at it. They have to have the renewed
Yeah.
one in hand. Otherwise, we're not going
not
to
gonna do
find.
it.
Even when we're switching from one FI to another, we have to have the insurance in place. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's mandatory.
Sorry, we were talking about the woman empowerment, and then these topics came. So now here's another question. Apart from being passionate about what we do in our business, it's a self-employed business.
It is.
It can have its ups and downs, and
Yes.
especially the sum of the market we have seen. What, as all of us in this business for a very long time, what keep you guys going to keep a positive mindset? How do you motivate yourself every day? Because let's be honest, we don't even know where next paycheck is coming from.
Oh, yes.
And we're still part of our contribution to our families.
Yes.
So what keeps you guys going? What keeps you positive mind? What motivates you to every day to get up and say, let's go?
This is very relevant and close to heart for all of us in these kind of markets. I'll go back to what you said. When your son was 5, you decided to go self-employed because you wanted to be there. I think every day when you get up, there are days you're like, because this is self-employed. There's no boss looking at you every day, so you're pushing yourself. I guess you need to remind yourself, why are you here? Like, I came here for my daughter. I needed that flexibility. Like, I want to pick her from school. I don't want her to go to the aftercare. So I need to remind myself, okay, Kanchan, why did you come here? You came for the work-life balance in some way. I know you work at nights and, maybe, but still pick her up. So I think you need to remind yourself of the purpose that you're here. And that's what keeps me going.
Wow, for me, it's my kids as well. Same thing, you look at them, they can't afford places on their own right now, so they need the support. So schooling and, and as they get older too, university, the cost is up. So when you do wake up, you think, okay, if I didn't have them, I'd probably be, I don't know where. But, they just keep me going because I'm just like, okay, his school fees are due. I got to do this. I got to take care of this. I also have a fur baby. So, his food is important to me. I just don't want to feed him kibble. I want to feed him raw food. So, there's so many things. And just for me, I think all my family's in England. So I do have good family, like a few family here. but good friends, and just having good girlfriends. You know, they keep you motivated, check up on you, how are you, you know, and I think that's really important as well. Mainly it's just, you know, waking up and, you know, knowing what you're going to do for the day. Okay, we've got to make these phone calls. You know, the market is crazy. You know, we don't know what's going on with the rates, and clients are calling us all the time, you know, what's going on, you know, and so, you know, we just got to kind of like keep maneuvering, keep moving forward. And like you said, being positive and doing the I ams, and that's all that keeps me going.
Then stay up all the time. It's not going to stay down.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. That's what I keep telling everybody. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
We saw the up of the ups, which we've never seen. We've seen the down of them.
So what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is my next holiday.
I'm an empty nester.
I'm an empty nester now. So the kids have moved on into their own homes, which I'm very fortunate. So
they're not going to be listening to this. No, I'm kidding.
Mommy's bank is still there sometimes. But,
right.
But for my next holiday.
Yeah.
What keeps me going is my next holiday. Where am I going to travel next?
You just need to find your motivation. Could be anything.
It's funny. I mean, of course, you've been through that phase, so I'm including you in this. But what these two have said, and that's true for me. Like most of us as mompreneurs sitting here, and I tell my son all the time. Sorry, I get a teary eye on this. This is very near and dear to my heart. This topic, because the things we would do for our kids, right? And I tell my son all the time that if it wasn't for you as being a responsibility, I don't know, maybe I would have not been that focused, because sometimes you could whatever, right? Yeah. So I really have to give him a credit that he's my son, because he kept me going. And I have a fur baby too. So so one time I actually went to the Metrotown Mall and I held a sign up and it says, I sell houses so my dog can live a better life. So I get it, that vet food and the kibbles and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. Wow, what is the last comments you guys want to put in for the, especially for, again, going back to the womanhood, what do they need to do? How do they get involved? And how, if they want to reach out to you, how they can reach out to you?
Very easy. All three of us are really accessible. And it's not only about a purchase. Please, women, if you want to reach out, you want to talk, you want to ask us something, just come ahead and ask us. And we can even tell you where we came from. We all have come from all of us have tough stories here.
Yes.
But we're all still standing here and smiling and laughing and sharing today. So I think, guys, just come out and talk. That's all.
Yeah, like she said, girlfriends. Like, it's so important for us to stick together and push each other up. I think that's where that's what I think
that's the key, that as they say, that you are the reflection of 5 people that you surround yourself with. So maybe it's a time that you start looking at who are people that you're surrounding yourself with.
Absolutely. Whenever you want to, there are a lot of changes coming for mortgages. So a lot of government rules which are being changed for mortgages. So maybe that's the next topic that we can educate people. In a few months, everything is going to be out. So there's quite a few changes coming.
Oh my God.
Some very bold and long due, but that's
really?
It's
wow, I'm looking forward to it.
Public announcements have come, but they haven't actually become into the rules right now.
Okay. I'm like, did I miss something? Any last words from any one of you too?
I'll just say the same thing as well to women, is it doesn't cost to come and get advice.
True.
So please do come in, see your banker, come and connect with any of us, and get the advice. You know, it's very important. I think just because our Indian women, the culture comes into play, and I think they need to kind of like start thinking and realizing what benefits are, and you know, the pros and the cons. You know, they need to kind of understand why is it so important to learn about mortgages and title and so forth. So you know, they should definitely reach out to any of us.
Or maybe we should do a class on these things too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Nice, right?
Well, I would say I'm really thankful to you. People like you are helping break that barriers and talk about things that people sometimes have on mind but don't talk. So
this is one of the topics that we just assume that everyone should just know. And technically, no.
Yeah, no.
Especially women, as I said, that the ones that are getting involved are definitely educating themselves, but there are that they needs to learn. So speaking of which, once again, this is Strata and Beyond. So thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions, their information will be on this podcast. Reach out to them. You need to contact me. You need to contact them. Or even if you just want to know, how do I even check if I'm on the title or not? Because sometimes you'll be surprised. They don't even know how to check whether they're on title or they're on mortgage or not. Then please reach out. We can guide you the way. But get involved, and in general also, this is for everyone. Get involved in your finances, get involved in your strata paperwork if you're into the condos living or if you're in a strata living. But get involved, and I hope this episode helps you to make the decisions that are best suited for your needs.
Thank you.
Strata and Beyond, real people, real stories.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.